Okay, let me know if you can see my screen. Cool. All right. So, okay, so the two things that I think we should work on. Let's see what's in the chat. Okay, cool. The big two things that I think we should work on, or like you could keep in mind to work on in the future, is the first is this concept of baseless claims. I kind of explained this on the first day, but it's kind of like you can't throw out claims in your speech and not explain them. So again, like I'm picking on Rishi just because he just went, but if you said something like, if you say something like cats are selfish, but you don't explain it, then your claim becomes much weaker than if you did explain it. And so an easy way that I talked about on the first day to explain most of your claims, to make sure you're explaining them, is to ask yourself why after you make like a big claim. So if you make a big claim, like if one of your big points is cats are really boring, you should ask yourself why. And my rule was like ask yourself why twice, right? Or ask yourself why or how twice. So if I was giving the speech about cats are selfish, I could say like why are cats selfish? And then you could say something like that's because cats only look out for themselves. Why? Because they're genetically predisposed to only looking out for themselves. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying that as a reason, right? But if I said something like cats are selfish because they only look out for themselves because it's in their genetic code to be more selfish, then you would believe that much more than if I just said cats are selfish, if that makes sense. And obviously that's not the strongest reason because I don't really know why cats are selfish, but that's the point is you want to explain your claims by asking yourself why. Oh, what's going here? Okay, cool. All right, so the second thing is not sounding scripted. And so obviously for the people that didn't use video that much, I can't really give you feedback on that directly, but there were some speeches that sounded a little bit scripted. And also there were people, like a couple people, for example, that like sounded a little bit flustered when they lost where they were in their script, which is okay. But for a speech, again, you want to make a connection with your audience. And so you don't want it to be scripted. Otherwise,
And
it's
you
basically
can't
just
go
replay.
back in a speech very well.
Wait, sorry, what?
And you can't go back in a speech well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I said, but earlier. So yeah, so you want to make a connection with your audience. And the way to do that is to sprinkle in some emotion. So for example, like Ira used emotion pretty well. She was like energetic, enthusiastic throughout her speech. And I'm just picking on these people because they went today. So I remember, like, it's in my memory. And then another thing is you want to have some like eye contact. So for some people who were like just reading off of a script, yes, it's harder to give eye contact online over Zoom. I understand that. But just keep in mind for future speeches, you don't want to just be reading off of a script without any eye contact because that doesn't really uphold the whole connection element, right? You don't have a conversation with your friends and stare at your shoelaces the whole time. That'd be weird. Okay. So that basically covers what I think the two big things that we should work on in the future. Let's see other. Yes, it's being recorded now. Okay, cool. Okay, so here's some final tips. So this is stuff you can do to help yourself like after this class. So one thing that's pretty easy is you should pay attention to things that like really good speakers do. Okay, so for example, if you're a big Obama fan and you watch a lot of his speeches, he's a pretty good speaker. You can watch some of the things he does. Normally, people like presidents, I'm not going to say anything about Trump, but normally people like presidents, big world leaders, um, like I guess just people that speak a lot are normally pretty good. So some of your really famous people are normally pretty good speakers. Obviously, like if you're looking at people maybe like Kanye West, they might not be that amazing, but for most part, like politicians and people like that will be good speakers. And if you yourself feel that wow, he speaks really well, he's probably a good speaker, and there are probably things that small things you can pick up on that he does that you can incorporate too. And the easy part about this is like most of these people you're already listening to. If you're a big Obama fan, you're already listening to some of his speeches. So it's not like you have to do homework to like look up his speeches. It's just when you're listening to them, pick up on the small things they do that really catch your attention, because then you can use them to catch other people's attention. And another one is, for me, I like some of these people. So for example, you have like John Oliver, who's like, these are all like late night show hosts, and they might be a little bit too old for some of y'all, but for others, I think you're probably familiar with some of them. Like, I think Hassan Minhaj is one of them too. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with people like that. And they are really good because they're basically their job is to give funny speeches, if that makes sense. That's essentially what they're doing. They're talk show hosts, comedians, but they have an entire professional team that helps them with their scripts, so their scripts are very good. But if you can pick up small things from the way they deliver jokes, for example, the way that they catch your attention, and if you really pay attention, honestly, like all people like Hassan Minaj are doing what we did on day one, what we talked about the speech structure. They're just doing that, but it's drawn out over 20 minutes, right? They'll bring you in with an AGD. They'll always start off with something interesting, maybe like some kind of story, some kind of joke, something wild, I guess, that brings you in. And then they'll have points, they'll have information, they'll have examples, they'll explain it, and they'll end too with like something strong, like some type of lasting sentiment. I know, at least, yeah, from the ones that I watch, most of them end with stuff like that. So a lot of the late night shows are good to watch just because of that. They're kind of basically giving a speech, and normally they do it pretty well. I mean, they get paid to do that, right? So yeah. Okay. So let me just check if there are any questions. What's up? Okay. Ha ha ha. Okay. Yeah, I haven't really watched Kevin Hart that much, but he probably is a good speaker. I mean, most people that get paid to do speeches and like comedians and stuff are good speakers because I mean, like that's their job, right? So they probably have practice. Okay. So now I just want to like leave you with like two drills that you can do on your own time at home. So the first one that I talked about, we didn't really get a chance to do. I would have liked to do it in class, but we have 30 people more, so it would take a while. So I don't want to use up an entire class doing it. So I think I explained it on day one, but basically is you go to like random word generator and you generate like a word, like any random word, and you can think about it for like 5 to 10 seconds, maybe 20 seconds if you want in the beginning. And then you just talk like for a minute about the word. So maybe use it in some examples, give examples of the word depending on what it is, define it, whatever you want. And the thing is that you should do this without saying like some people say like a lot, so not you wouldn't say that either. Whatever it is that you're using as filler words, you wouldn't say. And then if you say one of them, you'd restart and you keep going again and again. And ideally you can't really play it with yourself because sometimes you gloss over when you actually say like if I said or I might not realize it, but someone else will catch it for you. If you play it with someone like maybe a sibling, maybe your parents, maybe even a friend if you want, then they'll catch you. And for sure, if you play with like a friend or a sibling, they'll be like, you said it, like they'll come after you, which is good because then you'll realize how much you say it and you'll have to restart. So that's a really good drill just for fluency and just to see how much you say or and if you're someone that says like a lot, then just playing that a lot could really get that out of your conversations and out of your speeches in general. The second drill, oh look, I said it, see? Okay, the second drill is, this one's more intense, but it works. I like it really well, is to video yourself when you give a speech, maybe if you're practicing for an important speech, and then transcribe your speech exactly. So what I mean by that is video yourself giving a speech in practice and then type out or use some type of dictate app, I guess, but you have to watch for those because sometimes they're not exact, to record exactly what you say. So with the O's, with the stutters, with the repetitions, with the likes and with the as's, whatever you say, anything weird that you add into your speech, even like record like a sneeze or whatever it is, right? And so record your speech exactly, and then go back and edit your speech like an essay. And the point of this is to show you how inconcise you are when you speak, if that makes sense, and how much more how much more concise, I guess, you could be when you speak. So just doing that, you'll start seeing like, oh, I use these types of sentences a lot and they're really confusing. They don't make sense. If you edit it like an essay, you'll be able to see how much cleaner you can make it. And then you can make that change real time next time you speak. So no one's going to be as clean as they are in an essay when they give a speech. That's obvious. But the point is to get you from like a 200% difference between how you write and how you speak to like maybe a 50% difference. And some inconcision when you do a speech is good because, again, an essay you can go back and read, but a speech you can't. So you want to be a little bit more repetitive in a speech, but overall, this is also a good drill. Let's see. Do you have any questions about that? Okay. Do we need to use a random word generator, or can we just think of a random word? Either way, I just use random word generator because like I don't like thinking more than I have to. So I can just, use random word generator and it'll generate a word for me. I don't have to think about what I want. Yeah, I think so. Okay, I think they're talking about profile pictures. Okay, yeah. So I think that covers pretty much actually the drills that I wanted to talk about. Let me think. Okay, yeah. So just to recap, so basically big things to look out for is explaining all your claims.
Wait, if we have enough time, can we try out the drills in class?
Yeah, we can give it a try for sure.
Okay, sure.
Okay, and then some final tips. So just paying attention to professional speakers, listening to night shows, podcasts, and just paying attention to how they speak, how they crack jokes, how they come up with stories, how they give stories. Those are all good things to do. And then these are just 2 drills. If we have, I think we can go ahead. I'm going to probably end recording then. Let's see.